Stage is yours.
Hello. Thanks for joining. This is a pretty tough spot, like right after lunch and also parallel to Instagram, right? So if you're looking for the Instagram slot, you're perfectly right. So we're all Instagram hipsters and we will talk about Instagram. No, actually, if you want to see Instagram, go down. You're at the VR panel. Yeah, thanks for joining. Actually, guys, come on stage already. Then, can you give a warm welcome to the panelists? I'll introduce them properly in a bit. Just allow me to give some brief context before we jump into the discussion. So the notion of like escaping reality to an alternative reality is around since decades, but actually, you know, to have like a real impression of a real reality, like not virtual but a reality, basically technology was simply not there. So if you go back to the movies like Tron, all interesting concepts, but of course from a technology point of view there was no way that you actually can replicate that on a consumer level. So basically what those decades were was a lot of concept and a lot of nice ideas, and people actually really digged into those ideas, but there was simply absolutely no way to actually experience it. So virtual, yes, but not really a reality. But that really changed a bit in 2012 when on Kickstarter Oculus went through the roof, 2.5 million collected. 2 years later sold for 2 billion to Facebook. That was 2014. So latest at that point, at that stage, people were like, oh, what is this actually all about, this virtual reality? And now the reason why we have this panel is basically in 2016, those technologies are really becoming available this year. Who of you has experienced Oculus? Who had, okay, some. So it's really hard to actually describe virtual reality without trying it. Just Google Oculus Rift reactions, you will find hilarious spots there. And that's the whole point. So people are really getting immersive into this now, and it actually feels like a reality. And 2016 is somehow really the breakthrough point, because all these stuff will become available to a mass market, whether it's the Oculus or HTC or what Sony is bringing out, etc. And it will not stop there. So we will see interesting headsets, interesting new concepts around the user experience, but also on a low-end level, like not involving €1,000. So pretty much all of you will know the Samsung one, just using a mobile phone as a display. So you use your personal device and a $100 device. So that is already kind of like lower end than 1,000. And the cheapest that you can get is Google Cardboard design, where you basically just use cardboard and your mobile phone and you put it in there. What I personally love about it is you get this in the form factor of this. So you can put it on a magazine or in a train or whatever. And we will really see like mainstream adaptation to that. So in Germany, if even Chibo is offering something like that, you can see where it's heading. Or you can even get it at McDonald's within like a Happy Meal. So it's really about reaching the masses now. And to wrap it up, so that's why we have the impression that virtual reality is really somehow now basically coming to more than a pure hype. And to discuss that, I'm really happy to have like a really nice panel here today, where we are actually discussing this whole thing from 3 different angles. So first off, the journalism point of view. So this is really like an amazing piece of journalism done for the United Nations, Clouds over Sidra, as an example how immersive journalism can get. And this is really like a nice prototype example how journalism 3.0 could look like. And on that note, I'm really happy to introduce Martin, full-blown journalist since 18 years, started on the TV side, spent many years with Spiegel, moving basically from TV to online video. Currently you're the head of video innovation at Welt, right? Yes. And also the founder of IntoVR. And why don't you say a couple of words about your company?
Thanks. So, yes, IntoVR, of course, is about VR content. We are a content startup, media startup in the VR 360 scene, and we produce non-fiction content. find us on Facebook, IntoVR 360, or IntoVR at Twitter. So the website we're just building, so we have 6 weeks ago we started. So, but I can tell you a bit what the main ideas, the two main ideas are about IntoVR. First of all, that of course it's great to have an app or whatever best exciting experience, of course, is on an HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, or on the Samsung Gear VR. But in times where less than, I think, 2 or 3% of the population have these devices, so I think contact to 360 content is via social networks, and so we think that Facebook plays a really big role, and so we are optimizing content, of course, also for VR goggles in a way that Mark Zuckerberg and Matthias Döpfner, Axel Springer CEO, can enjoy the content in 4K quality without any motion sickness. But we know that the most use case is on a mobile phone, just doing it around, and we see great results. We put a travel piece. IntoVR will be much about travel, about a beach in California, and these are the reactions. I don't know who of you is able to read German, but I can try to translate a bit. So it's all the time, hey, look at this, and move your phone, tilt your phone, do it during the video, move your phone. It is the hammer. I don't know if you can say it in English. So it's not cut from different, it's just a screenshot from the first 10 comments under a Facebook video with a Facebook page that had 800 likes. This moment we posted the video, it was 60,000 likes. And it was a pretty easy video, it was about 1 minute. So we try to be, try to not to focus on these huge stories in stereoscopic. So much, of course, we are able to produce good quality stereoscopic 3D content, but we think that it's about positive experiences, just about nice moments, and in order to be a distributed content company, we are looking for, dreaming maybe, to be sometimes something as like the Know This for VR, or even in Germany. And the second thing is that we try to reach these experiences with pretty easy ways and in an affordable way. So we are a production company that has an aggressive pricing because we are working with, we call them maybe the VRJs, so you know VJs from the way from TV to web video. First of all, everybody thought you can produce web video only with a camera team like in the TV. Then we saw that VJ is just one person with a camera, and as the storyteller himself can tell the story, and we try to bring this idea to VR, and that's it. It's about huge audiences via social networks, and it's about easy workflows and affordable to lower down a bit the step to VR, even in a good 4K quality. Thanks.
Thank you, Martin. That actually brings me to the next point, because you've just mentioned production, and of course this is a huge topic, like how do you actually produce in 360, how do you actually produce for those devices? And it's pretty much like Wild West right now, so you have everything from very professional systems to stuff that somehow is improvised. I mean, those are 14 Red Dragon Ultra HD stuff mounted. There's pretty much the geekiest setup you can imagine. But of course, it's about democratizing somehow the production. On that note, I'm really happy to have Michael with us, who basically just launched an app that is democratizing content creation. Is that right?
Yes, this is right. Nice LinkedIn picture. Okay.
Yeah, you look awesome on that picture, actually.
Thank you. So, yeah, we founded Splash a year ago here in Berlin. Our vision was to, like you said, democratize VR. So how can we make VR creation and consumption accessible for everyone? The problem is we've seen it that, as you said, 360 cameras, they cost money. They are, of course, you can't use them in spontaneous situation, usually demand a lot of post-production, and even if the record theta, you need to connect to the computer, so it's not immediate. And we are living in a Snapchat generation. So when you look at panoramic apps, so they are very slow and technical. They instruct you how to create the perfect staged image, but actually they don't help you to tell a story or create an emotion. So this is something we're going to launch very soon in the end of June. You can follow. What you see here is what we call video painting. This is real-time stitching. It's a technology, I mean, leave the interface, it's a developer version, but as you can see, the actual creation, you just press and hold, and what it does, it immediately stitches the picture. Now we can see what I've just created. You can look at the 360 space that you created, and inside this Splash, what you can basically do is take multiple looping videos, images like Vine, 3 seconds, all around the sphere, and what the app does, it stitches them all together. Then you can immediately export them to YouTube, Facebook, any 360 player. And inside Splash, we have our own web player. You can like in different specific areas. You can watch, of course, on the Google Cardboard. You have an in-app feed where you can look around the 360 video. So my friend just sent me now, they are sitting in a barbecue in Barcelona, and I really like it, so I tell him, oh, I also want this and this, and I can comment on the actual 360 space, so I can get notifications from friends that commented on my Splash. But again, what is really interesting in a Splash, the comments, the likes, the tags are in a 360 space. So here, for example, I can see Chris just wrote me a comment, and I can hit him back, so we actually create social conversation in VR. And of course, we see it in different use cases. You can immediately see content running in concerts and different events. This is the team based here in Berlin, again, through the Splash app. We're sitting here at the Gorky Theater, and we recently won South by Southwest, got 30,000 users in that experience, and we slowly with this group started iterating and understanding the use cases. So of course, there's the you and me, everything that I can exchange with friends. I can suddenly experience something like, hey, come here, see where I am, and I can share my world, my concert, where I am. We see a lot of creative spaces being done on the 360 canvas, also 360 selfies, like we call splashes. Yeah, there's a big space for the creative and talent to enter into storytelling and express yourself on the go in 360 VR. Publishers and broadcasters are quite interested to report live from events or do reviews of lifestyle. The chess boxing did something here as part of Eventbrite marketing. So we definitely see a lot of opportunities coming. And in the end of the day, for me, VR, we already have this phone. And behind what you say, the hype of 2016, VR is in our access. I mean, you can even take something like that, and it's only 2 lenses, even without the cardboard, right? This is Homido. And you can immediately explore something. So I see VR as an instant telepathic messaging system, in a sense.
Thanks a lot. Did you say chess boxing?
Yeah, that was the chess boxing.
Do you guys know chess boxing?
They chess and then they box.
It's really cool. It's invented in Berlin, so you play chess against each other, and if you don't put the other checkmate, you have to box. Yeah. So it's 3 minutes of chess, 3 minutes of boxing, 3 minutes of chess. It's really worthwhile looking at. So basically, we looked at the production side. We talked about democratizing. So of course, there's a third very important component, and that is basically content and how you actually enjoy content. Now, on the content side, one of the killer use cases is pornography. I had to do the research, so I was forced to as a moderator, and it is intriguing. Let's put it like that. The research is on that device. If you ask nicely, you can check it out. But the point is, there must be other use cases than basically pornography.
It sounds like you're going to introduce me now as a porn producer.
No. That was just like the dramaturgy. So Yip is everything except for pornography. No, but like with Yip, we have someone who can really talk well about 2 things, the content side and where you actually consume. So of course, this is not the ideal surrounding to consume content, and we're really thrilled to have Yip. He created the worldwide first VR cinema, which is actually in this building. You guys launched in Amsterdam before. Yeah. And you also have a production company for creative VR content in the advertising space. So on that note...
Great. Well, thanks for being here. First of all, I really want to take you all in what is my passion for virtual reality, because I think that virtual reality has really the power to put people on new places in the world where they have never been before. And for that reason, it's such a powerful tool to give inspiration to people. And that's what really drives me every day to be busy in this topic. And that's also why, with the claim of this panel session, I would really say it's gonna be here because it's such an amazing medium. What we thought, and I'm gonna talk about really shortly about the two businesses that we have, but we thought, like, how can we make it possible for every human being to enjoy virtual reality without having a pair of glasses yet, but especially working towards really storytelling and really having an entertainmentful proposition. And that became the virtual reality cinema. Well, we are the first in the world. You can really imagine it like this. So we have 50 people sitting in a room, and you all get a pair of VR glasses on your head, watching a 35-minute movie package. Can be from documentary to horror kind of thing to more animation stuff. And we are, well, we say sometimes we're almost creating a whole new industry, because we are looking around, like in the early days, like in 1900s, around the whole world, well, like what are the best VR projects now, and that's what we try to show in the VR cinema. It looks always pretty funny when people, especially when people are watching horror. That's really the best. But people really love it so far. So we opened up for 3 months now. We had more than 25,000 visitors. Yeah, it stays funny. I can watch for hours. I love the work also always there.
So this is actually Amsterdam, and it's on the ground floor, and you basically see people freaking out, and you're thinking, exactly. What are they doing?
That's also really nice from having a VR cinema, is that you don't need an expensive place or big halls. You can almost put it everywhere. So it's really it's our goal how to bring really this entertainmentful experiences towards cinema. Second, our other business, what you already shortly noticed, is our VR production company and agency. So what we help is brands is how can you really inspire your customers and your audiences with virtual reality. And I just want to point out one project that we just launched yesterday. It's for the biggest supermarket chain of the Netherlands, and I'm super excited because this project has the chance to be the biggest VR project in the world. It will be already from Europe, just from the users that this supermarket is bringing in. But you can imagine that with every 10 euros that you shop at the supermarket, you get a little card. You see the card just lying under there, and it's an app that's a combination between augmented reality and virtual reality. So we bring back the dinosaurs to life. How cool is that? So you can actually see here a dinosaur. It's really swimming on your table, but you can have also a T-Rex walking there. But then you can also, in your collection, you can go to a virtual reality experience, and especially that is also really cool because you can then really stand there in between this world of the dinosaurs. And you have this Dutch celebrity. He is a main child biologist. Kids really love him, and he tells like all kind of educational details about these dinosaurs. And it's about it in total. It's 20 times 20 minutes of content, so almost 400 minutes. And lastly, we were very proud to present it even to our queen last week. So we are pretty excited about this world, and we think everybody should enjoy VR.
Thank you guys. So let's open up Thank you guys. So let's open it up for the discussion. We actually have microphones, so if you have a question, just feel free to interrupt or grab a microphone or wave. But Jip, I just have to ask, like, I mean, VR is all about immersion, like headphones, and you're on your own. Cinema is all about, like, you know, hundreds of people in a room and shout together and cry together. So how did you came up? Like, isn't it a weird setup? And what kind of people are going there? Like,
that's exactly the thing that we thought about when we created the VR cinema. Because if you think about going to a movie normally together, you are really excited up front. You still have that when you go here to the cinema as well. Okay. Then you are sitting at the movie, and actually it's quite irritating if somebody around you is talking. So please don't do that. So that's what we thought. Like during the movie, you're not with each other. But then if you put off your goggles, you actually made that journey together. Okay. And that experience. So we see still people really enjoying it as a shared experience as well. And the people that we see coming in, it's really from grandparents with grandchildren, people coming on dates together. It's, by the way, really funny than sitting on couches only holding hands, but you cannot kiss, of course, in a VR cinema. But so yeah, we have quite a broad audience,
Okay.
Which is the most interesting to us. We thought we would mainly get millennials actually in, but we see now in Amsterdam that our main demographic is actually the 30 to 40 years old. So
Okay.
a bit older.
Wow. So guys, check it out. It's in this building. Actually, I think you can buy tickets
Yeah.
online, and then you have time
Yeah.
slots.
Yeah.
And just on that notion, what kind of content besides the horror stuff can you select? Like, can you say like?
So we have 3 different like packages. So it's a 35-minute program. That's kind of the max that we see people finding comfortable now watching virtual reality. And you can choose between the horror, more documentary, or more an animation kind of kids package.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Martin, you come from the traditional linear media, like really like TV, and you've done everything from cutting, narrating, moderating, everything. Like when you switched to VR, what was the biggest challenge? Like what?
Yes, so of course, as you said, what I did, there are things that I can use now in my new job, but it is a completely new form, and it's important not to make the mistake to think that we just transfer maybe TV in the VR goggle or whatever. So it did not work to transform radio to TV through just putting a camera in front of the radio moderator, or it's not working to put the newspaper in the internet with just a PDF, as you all know, as we learned. So it's not that we bring TV there. It's a completely new form. It's maybe a bit more than theater, like you raise a curtain and you have only one scenery in each picture, so you have to care much more about where to put the camera, and of course there's much more we talk about without having a cameraman that is framing and deciding what the user should look. User decided. It's a kind of democratization in the content, in the journalism, and it can be maybe a way to get back a bit of trust. As you know, maybe in Germany we have a bit discussions about behaving of media in different crises, in refugee crisis, in Ukraine crisis, and so I think this is a very authentic and trustful way of telling stories when you just bring the user to the scenery as a journalist and then step back.
But just to elaborate on that for a bit, I hope everyone got that, because like with 360, it's a totally different medium, right? I mean, you can't set up a camera and have like one focus. So
I really have to tell. The same I do, like my son, who is 8 years old, is hiding. Hiding is very important as a camera guy in 360 video, because you cannot stand next to the camera because you are in the picture. And if there's no sense that you are standing there, you hide yourself. It's just decide where to put the picture from and then go away for maybe 30 seconds, 40 seconds, whatever, and then come back and arrange the next picture.
It's also really, if you are directing VR, it's really about guiding also your viewers. So you're trying to attract them all the time to watch. For instance, if I watch to you guys and a murder here is going to happen behind me, I want to have sound coming from there, and I want everybody of you watching there, so I will probably be attracted to start watching there as well. So it's all the time being busy with really guiding the viewer.
Of course, you can guide. Sorry, one word, but it's really interesting that I was 2 times in your VR cinema, which is great, and asked the people as a journalist that are going there, and they said, "Oh, I can watch for another time or for a third time because there's so much more to see I haven't seen." Because we are able to use techniques that guide the user, but of course he's totally free to look where he wants.
Yeah, I mean that's where VR is actually quite close to theater more than cinema. So in a way,
and you come from theater, right?
Yeah, I was a theater director before, and it's a funny jump because, of course, I was always interested in how people go through experiences. You enter this space; it's a social space. Of course, it's live and it's happening now. But what's happening is that you're basically manipulating as a director the audience to take notice in different spaces. If it's site-specific, so it's really immersive 360 around you. And then sound, of course, plays a big role. Light, mise en scène, like somebody walking in the scene. All those things suddenly are tools that you can use in this medium, taking from the theater more than just taking stuff from the cinema, because here we have different cuts. And yeah, I mean, it's really interesting on the cinema aspect. I'm really seeing it. There's the potential for arcade, because you're actually really immersed in the world of VR, cut away, and I mean, I'm really wondering a lot about how it will affect our humanity. Of course, being closed in the bubble, and that's why I personally really like the idea of fast VR, something that. Like I said, an SMS of telepathy. So you just get the experience and you go back to reality and you let it empower your reality. You receive more emotions and thoughts and impressions from people that you know, people around you, and let it affect your real reality. In VR, and for example, VR cinema feels to me like some kind of an arcade, a ritual that in the end is collective, but it's very secluded. It's like being alone together in a sense. I guess the next step will be VR mixed reality cinema, where you basically have the ability to see the other participants and be with them in the movie. And with journalism, it's really interesting because the question of agenda of a journalist. So when you read today an article, you ask yourself, in the way the writer puts the words together, and how does he actually try to bring you to the place, but what is authenticity in that sense? How much is the reporter, the journalist, bring you complete objective truth, and how much does he brings his own, personal voice to it, and the newspaper voice and the editor voice into the way he tells the story? So the question is, now when VR is there, when everything is open, where is the personal auteur, the perspective? Where is the place of the journalist to actually bring his dimension into the story?
Of course, it's still the way that you choose where to bring the user and whom to put in front of the camera, which people. We saw Clouds over Sidra, which person is telling his story, and of course you can tell stories in VR, but the format is very, very different to linear TV.
Yeah, on that note, because you also produced a very cool movie, and every one of my friends who's seen it here at the cinema freaked out about it. It was also about refugees, like Clouds over Sidra. Can you talk a little bit about the production and?
So basically, when we were opening our cinema in Amsterdam, we thought, like, how can we really inspire people about a social topic? And we wanted not to make a documentary, but really a scripted story. And we worked together in Holland with the best scriptwriter in the Netherlands, and with the best Dutch award-winning actress who is playing in it. And what you have a whole movie. It's a short movie, so it's about 18 minutes. But you're sitting there on the table of a couple. They play themselves. Actually, it's a celebrity couple, and they suddenly they're people wanting to give them a refugee actually to put in their home. And what we try, it's quite a beautiful story how it works with strong dialogues. But what we try especially to do is you start really as a spectator, so you're really on the side, and more throughout the story you get involved in their fights. They sometimes try to, or they're looking a little bit at you, and suddenly, totally at the end, and this is a big spoiler to you all, but at the end they all watch to you and they ask you the question, what are you doing and why are you just looking at us? And the effect that has on people, first being a spectator and then at the end being confronted like I'm also just here looking, it's really huge. And I think there you see really also the power of storytelling within VR, and that's quite a phase where the industry is now, is that it really needs to go from being a gimmick to really true storytelling, having a real message behind it, because then the story becomes much more powerful.
And something that probably needs to develop over the next couple of years, because it's a brand new medium.
We need also really the big talents to jump into it. So and you see a lot of bad VR being made also now. So that's also a point.
Yeah, and I can imagine like what Martin said with like hiding the cameraman. I mean, these are all experiences that you need to do. Oh damn, I'm in the picture. Damn, or like with the dialogue, or like what you've described with the movie. I mean, the nice scene is that you're actually participating. Like you're sitting at a table with them, but then where do you put the eye? Like, where do you watch?
No, yeah, it's really difficult because, for instance, your lights, you need to hide them somewhere. So it's with a lot of reflection lights, and lights are hidden behind tables, and you can leave one camera sometimes out and then replace it with another camera. Then your whole crew, so the 20 people normally on a movie set, they all need to hide indeed away. So it's really funny if you see the raw material at a certain point, everybody comes behind these couches, etc. So yeah, it's quite an interesting field actually to discover as well.
Yeah, when I done the research for HEUREKA, which was horrible, I showed it to a colleague of mine, and she was actually watching only the interior design. So she was like, "Oh, what an ugly picture!" And "Oh, what about the couch?" And I was like, "No, it's well." Anyway, you get the picture. But Michael, I'm just wondering, because you mentioned like the social aspect of it, and I mean, with pictures we have Instagram, I mean, for video we have YouTube, for chat we have the Messenger. Do we need like a social network for VR?
I mean, let's look in this history. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about you, not you specifically, you. So in the beginning, when you wanted to capture your experiences, you used your camera, you take your photos, you put them in a family album. You look back in time, right? You're experiencing those moments. Then we had our phone, and we started put things in our camera roll. Then Instagram came, and it says, whatever you documented, now you can share. So slowly, it was a new emotional expression that photos were immediately out there as exhibition of your life. And that took us slowly into Vine and YouTube and then Snapchat. That put also you as the protagonist of your media. The media became the message. In Snapchat, it was first of all the image, then the text and the augmentation. So suddenly you see this transformation, which in many ways is also quite narcissistic. And it's so narcissistic that actually in Snapchat, the ephemeral, the idea that the messages disappear helps a bit, because as a teenager, you don't need to be embarrassed about all those games. You just let it, like a note in classroom. You just write something, and in the end, it will come to the bin, and everybody has to read it. That's why it's so viral. And after that, we have a new concept, which is like social play. So we see Masquerade and Musically and Dub Smash here in Berlin that bring your reality in that sense with some augmentation and playfulness. So where does this all connect to VR? So imagine user-generated VR camera that you just can capture, not just see prepared premium content, and immediately watch it inside your cardboard. So you time travel. When I look back in my splashes in the last months, just with myself and my family, with this box, I feel like we are time traveling to experiences. It's so emotional. When you look at social and VR, you usually think about Avatar, Second Life. But I see it more about sharing your reality. Hey, I'm here in this party. You want to see? Oh, yeah, I'm coming. Or I'm just here with my daughter, and my parents are in Israel, and I want them to be with this moment so they can experience with me. Social play and VR is really interesting, and that's the direction we're really excited going to, because you magify, you put magic and augmentation into your reality. So you're saying, this is how I experience my reality, and I see it a bit black and white, and you see it with a red filter. It's the same space, just that we have different feelings about it. And that's a really interesting way to go. Just to finish this point, I think we're talking a lot about who and how we can make VR not just a hype, and make it something that the industry will develop, and we will have creatives coming in. I think that the best way is to give it to the masses, actually to allow many people to create every second an experience, that they understand the value of VR, that they understand what is 364.
That's also why I'm so excited about this campaign we're doing with the supermarket chain, because they bring it to the children. They made we saw the cardboard in your presentation being 12 euros. They made that price point go down to €2.50. They really boosting it with campaigns like to hundred thousands of children. And I think that's really the phase that we need to be in now. The technology is still in a basic. So all of you who will test it will probably say, oh yeah, resolution is not really high yet. But that's all things that technology will evolve, and it's a matter of little time. But we need really people to step into this world and to get creatives creating things and experience.
Before I'm coming back to that, I just wanted to give you another opportunity. Do you have questions or something? Otherwise, we're just continuing like,
How would you imagine that?
Wait for...
VR and education?
So the question was VR and education.
VR in education?
Now, so
Thank you.
so what we do a lot of research also, and we compare like traditional video to virtual reality video. And the interesting thing is that actually on every level on behavior, it's systematically higher than the VR than traditional video. So the connection that you have with the characters that you see, but also the amount of information that you understand from it, and also the behavior, buying behavior, for instance, of people watching something or donating after seeing in VR. So I think that VR can be in that way a really powerful thing if you want to inspire kids or if you want to inspire adults with information and content. You can put them really into these worlds. And that's with this dinosaur thing. We have more than 400 learning elements in it. So it's all these kind of facts that you learn from it. And I think that's where if schools are going to adopt that, and if you're going to learn about the Middle Ages, or if you're going to learn about the Romans, or if you can just stand there and really have the feeling I was there, I think it can be super powerful.
It's true that VR, education, the more exciting and emotional it is, so people can connect more to what they learn. So VR, in many ways, you can call it an empathy machine, right? It's just a tool. It's a medium that has an illusion on your mind that you feel part of the experience. And if you put it in education, so you make education more experiential, then people remember the material better.
But I think it's not the schools that will do this, so it's more the supermarkets or JIP or maybe the universities with medicine or whatever. Or schools in Germany, we have the problem that they even are about to adopt the internet or whatever. So
no, but there are quite some governmental innovation chains that are really looking into this stuff now. And
Google is doing also.
Yeah, so but probably we need startups as well.
Mm-hmm. I think we have time for one last question. If you're
maybe I have a question for Jip. We talked a lot about, let's say, entertainment, travel, social media. I buy all that, but my question is: have you thought about how virtual reality can really change core and traditional business processes? You mentioned Albert Heijn before. Mm-hmm. I guess it's Albert Heijn. That's an obvious use case, right? So you save the time to travel to a supermarket. Yeah. You can manage complexity of the product offering. Have you thought about these things, or doctor's appointments, or learning?
Absolutely, and I think that especially augmented reality also will become a huge part of that. Also, if you see the projection of the market, they project, Goldman Sachs projected to be in 2021 a market of $150 billion. With augmented reality being almost 2/3 of that, and because especially there is a lot of practical use case. So, for instance, for training people, you can see when you are a car mechanic, you can see over the car going all the different electronic things. So you can be learning all the time. NASA, for instance, they are implementing it already in the ISS above for these kind of things. Volvo is designing their cars with the HoloLens. So I think there are a lot of enterprise solutions for sure that you can think of, and that will become to exist in the coming 1 to 3 years.
Is everyone aware of augmented reality as a difference to? Yes, no. Can we switch real quick to the other presentation for 1 second? Don't freak out, dear moderator. We're really about to finish, but because we mentioned it a couple of times, so just because we mentioned augmented a couple of times, so virtual reality, I'm basically immersive. I don't see anything else besides what's on there. Augmented, I have my real surrounding and I can interact with that. And what Jip was just saying, like, the interesting notion there is you have stuff like what you can do within industry and stuff like that. And HoloLens, it's really something where you would freak out. So to wrap up, because we're running out of time, it's a super interesting topic. The title was Hype or Game Changer. So as a very last statement, real quick, if I'm a fairy and I have like a wish that you can have fulfilled for your respective field, what would be the one wish I could fulfill? If I have a magic wand and I say like, come on, Jip.
Well, let's jump into the future and have this lens that Samsung has already a patent on, but a VR, AR lens, which just at one point you have this augmented reality, and it can also completely black you out and put you in a VR world. Let's be that now over here.
Okay, Michael.
I hope that we will learn to see virtual reality as a tool that can enhance our humanity and empathy towards other people. I'm also afraid that with hype and with different reasons, it can also take us away from each other. So hopefully we'll learn how to use this technology right.
Cool. And Martin?
I hope that the industry is doing a good job in making it accessible as possible, not to fight between iOS and Android, between the device companies. So because I think the smartphone must be the basic, and you need easy goggles like this where you can insert your smartphone. And at the moment it's really too complicated which smartphone for which goggle, iOS or Android. Please, the industry should make it much easier.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. That was an awesome panel. Thank you.
Thank you.